Good afternoon. My name is Paul Lynch, and joining me today are Kim Tompkinson, Mark Cooper, Sasha Johnson, Lisa Kidder, and Ryan Randall. This week, we are continuing our series on the 7th edition of the Quality Matters Higher Education rubric. Today, we are going to cover General Standard 4, Instructional Materials. At the end of our session, we'll have an opportunity for you to ask questions. However, if you do have a question, please feel free to put it in our chat. First, we're going to provide an overview of the purpose of the Quality Matters rubric. First, who's it for? The Quality Matters rubric is primarily targeted at faculty, course designers, and course developers. It serves as a comprehensive guide for professionals involved in planning, designing, and implementing online and hybrid courses. What is it for? The Quality Matters rubric is designed to provide a structured framework, placing emphasis on the importance of course design for creating high-quality online and hybrid courses. It aims to ensure that courses meet the Quality Matters specific review standards, which are research-supported and best practice-based guidelines for effective online education. How does it apply to our courses at Idaho State University? Applying the Quality Matters rubric to your course can significantly enhance the student experience by ensuring that the course is well-designed and easy to navigate. It also fosters an increased presence for both students and instructors through interactive and engaging course elements. Furthermore, the rubric helps in reviewing and ensuring alignment between the course content, assignments, and assessments, creating a more cohesive and effective learning environment. General Standard 4, Instructional Materials. General Standard 4 states, a variety of contextualized instructional materials enables learners to achieve the stated learning objectives. The focus of General Standard 4 is on supporting the course objectives through instructional materials that prepare learners to effectively interact with course topics and ideas, rather than on qualitative judgment about the instructional materials. General Standard 4 emphasizes that the alignment of instructional materials General Standard 4 emphasizes the alignment of instructional materials with course and module objectives. It prioritizes a clear connection between these materials and the learning activities, upholding academic integrity through clear referencing. Additionally, General Standard 4 ensures that materials reflect current theory and practice, and also champions variety, encompassing diverse media types, perspectives, and inclusive representations. Now that we have an understanding of the purpose and scope of General Standard 4, Kim will take us through Specific Review Standard 4.1.
Thanks, Paul. So the instructional materials can be of many different varieties, and Specific Review Standard 4.1 states that the instructional materials contribute to the achievement of the stated learning objectives. As I mentioned, you can have various types of instructional materials, such as traditional textbooks, open educational materials, OERs, publisher or instructor created materials, slide presentations, videos, diagrams, simulations, and the list goes on. The important thing to remember is that they should all have a purpose for being in the course. And that purpose is to help students reach both course level and module level objectives. One thing to consider as you design your course is to plan how your course materials fit together with the tools, activities, and assessments you have selected. This not only will help students be able to use the tools and materials effectively, but it will also help them to see the connections between objectives and course materials. Next, Mark will go over Standard 4.2.
Thanks, Kim. Specific Review Standard 4.2 is the relationship between the use of the instructional materials in the course and the completion of learning activities and assessments is clearly explained to your learners. So this explanation of how the instructional materials prepare learners in completing learning activities and the assessments, and the relevance of any instructional materials that are required versus those that are optional are explained. And then finally, the consideration of the order in which the materials are presented is also explained to the learners. Some examples of specific review standard 4.2 in action might be in your course where you have a schedule of assigned readings with an explanation of how those readings are used in an upcoming online discussion forum. Or it could be that you provide an overview of the quiz, which indicates the chapters and the resources for your learners to study in order to prepare for the exam. And then another final example is an explanation of how the required readings and the required resources and optional resources are used to prepare for the learning activities and assessments. So providing that explanation in your course, or it could also be in the activity or assessment instructions. Up next, I'm going to pass it to Sasha, who's going to talk about specific review standard 4.3.
Thanks, Mark. Specific Review Standard 4.3 states that the course models the academic integrity expected of learners by providing both source references and permissions for use of instructional materials. As Kim mentioned, this can include instructor or publisher created materials, journal articles, images, graphics, and so on. But clearly identifying those sources for your instructional materials, as well as obtaining and indicating that you have permission to use those materials, shows your students the importance of respecting intellectual property rights and abiding by copyright laws. This standard can be met by individually referencing the source and permission for each item in your course, or by including a single file in the course that lists the sources and permission information for all of the instructional materials in a single location. And for things like journal articles, you can use the curriculum builder within Moodle, and that allows you to add such resources as those journal articles to your courses, and then students actually access those directly through the library databases. Modeling a recognized style guide, such as APA or MLA, can also clarify the expectations for your students on how they should reference materials in their coursework and beyond. Before we get to Specific Review Standard 4.4, as an example of Standard 4.3, I have added an image to this slide with the corresponding reference to the slide, to the image source. And this particular image is licensed under the Creative Commons by SA 2.0 license, which allows me to share and adapt the image as long as I give appropriate credit and provide a link to the license and indicate if any adaptations or modifications were made to the image. And if I did adapt this image under this license, I would be required to actually share it under the same Creative Commons license. So as you obtain the permission and add those resources and references to your instructional materials, it's a good time to also ensure that the instructional materials are representing current thinking, practice, and application in the discipline. And that is where Specific Review Standard 4.4 comes in, where it states the instructional materials represent up-to-date theory and practice in the discipline. And there's really no hard and fast rule across all disciplines with regard to the recency of instructional materials. Instead, it tends to be discipline specific, such as what the standard is for determining recent and current within your discipline. But it is important that the resources represent current and recent trends in the discipline to ensure that learners are getting the most up-to-date and accurate information. So that is something that you can keep an eye on as you're obtaining permission or adding creators to your sources for the students. You can double check and see how recent it is or if it represents up-to-date information. And that's not to say that you can't include older works in your course at all, because there are works that are foundational to the discipline or works that provide historical significance, and those still do have a place within your course. And now I will pass it to Ryan, who will talk about the forms that instructional materials can take.
Great, thanks, Sasha. Specific Review Standard 4.5 reads, a variety of instructional materials is used in the course. And it's worth pointing out that variety really fosters learner engagement. And it does so both in the short term and in the long term. It helps the learner engage with the material as they're initially engaging with it. It helps them to perform better in the class and stay engaged throughout the course. And it also promotes long-term engagement with the material, retention, and the ability to transfer it to new situations. So it has a variety of benefits in and of itself. And this value of variety is supported numerous ways. Universal Design for Learning framework supports it. Different perspectives on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and other additional research-based frameworks all testify to the value of variety in these ways. So let's think a little bit more about what variety consists of for this particular specific review standard. So what it means to have a variety of instructional materials in your course. The standard is met if the materials include one of three different types of variety. The first is the material type. The second is perspectives or ideas. And the third is representations of people. I'll give examples of each of these now. So the material type could be, for instance, having a blend of articles, podcasts, textbooks, websites, videos, or other types of material. So it's really about that sort of format or genre. Another type of variety is if you have perspectives or ideas. So for instance, you could have varied or opposing perspectives. You could have critiques of the disciplinary status quo, or you could have authors that are traditionally underrepresented in that discipline. So these are emerging trends. These are some different types of outlying perspectives, or ones that they're current, but not the established standard yet. Those would be ways that you could bring those in to meet this perspectives or ideas type of variety. And the third would be representations of people. So you could, for instance, include varied representations of people with varied abilities, ages, body types, cultures, ethnicities, family structures, genders, races, religions, sexualities, etc. The cornucopia of types of representations of people you can find. Those are good. They help students to better imagine themselves in their course if they themselves know or are one of these, have some of these different types of attributes. And it also, as I was saying earlier, can help them transfer the knowledge to new situations in the future. So it helps with engagement in that way. And you can include these types of representations in various ways as well. So you might find them in case studies, in scenarios, in the images that are in your instructional materials, or other things. Again, this particular specific review standard is met if you have one of these three different types of variety, and then these are examples of each. Up next, Lisa will take any questions and provide answers.
If you'd like to learn more about how to apply General Standard 4 from the QM rubric, or any of the other standards from the QM rubric, we have the Quality Plus program here at ISU. It is ISU's implementation of Quality Matters, and it supports faculty in improving skills, abilities, and knowledge about online teaching and about developing online courses, with the goal being that we create quality online courses and courses that meet the standards as outlined in the Quality Matters rubric. If you'd like to learn more, you can use the QR code on the screen to get to our website and read more about the program and sign up to learn more or to get started. In addition, we have a number of resources available for you at any time. We have a database of articles that will walk you through. A lot of them are linked to videos, which are housed in our ITRC video library, and they'll connect you back so you can read it and you can watch it. See, that's a variety of ways that we presented that. You're always welcome to meet with us. We enjoy meeting with you. We'll meet in person. We can talk on the phone. We can meet in Zoom. We have people in both Pocatello and in Meridian. You can send an email to itrc@isu.edu, and that will reach all the full-time staff. And we can make an appointment at a time that works for you to answer any of your questions. Watch for upcoming webinars on Idaho State Today and in the ISU events calendar, and we look forward to seeing you in another one.